Well, good morning to you, and welcome to Talking Baseball Australia Live, baseball's best mate. Plenty to talk about. Paul Morgan standing by in the wings. We're going to roll this baby in 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
It's Talking Baseball Australia. It's baseball updates you'll really love. The MLB and ABL news you want. With Paul Morgan and Dan Vaughn. It's baseball's best mate all year round. From the batter's box to the mound.
And there we go. Good morning to you, and welcome to Talking Baseball Australia Live, baseball's best mate. We're glad you're along. Dan Vaughn with you. Paul Morgan, there he is on the screen as we come your way. Another, man, mute him here. Another news-filled Friday morning in Australia. In North America, it's a Thursday night. Glad you're along. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm trying to do maths, TV, to figure out who's playing who, when, and it's only 7:15 in the morning here in the West. Got the coffee going. Trying to figure out what the hell is happening. But anyway, that's why we do this.
Let me give you something funny that kind of goes along with this today, because I was never a math student at all. I was a terrible math student. I think I had to take high school algebra twice, and gosh, I must have taken college algebra a bunch of times. Today, I got called in this morning. May have boomed out there. Sorry about that. I got called in to substitute teach today after the fact. I was actually doing my morning workout, and they said, "Oh, don't worry, get there at 10:40. You got plenty of time." So I substituted today for algebra, and they were showing an algebra video. Does that sound like something you want to watch? That sounds on the list of things I don't want to live stream. One of them would be algebra video. And I was having flashbacks to mathematics, to my high school and college days, and how my head would hurt. And I'd just be, I can't figure this out. X squared minus what, parentheses. Well, that's what this whole thing is. It's algebra ABL fixture style. It's what I feel like today. I got a headache just reading it all.
It is. It's the headaches of what we know, DV, of course. Are you surprised at news broke today? Of course, I'm sure if you're an ABL fan, you would have seen it on one of the fan websites, or head to the ABL website. So, are you surprised that Adelaide's the choice for a 14 2-game round robin? I'm not sure how it all works.
Every day, I have plenty of reading in the different papers across the country. That would not have been where I thought the hub would be. To be honest with you, I just from what's been going on lately, I figured a conventional wisdom, as you and I have talked about, we've always thought Queensland was the lead dog in the hunt. Perth would be a great place out west. Things are better in Victoria. Sydney's got the space there as well. I was not expecting to be Adelaide, especially with the recent news that South Australia is in a very hard lockdown, for temporary hard lockdown. But I was a little shocked by that. I don't think this is what I expected. Again, I'm not in the ground there like you are, but I wasn't expecting it. I really wasn't. I mean, it caught me off guard. I totally was off guard with that, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But how about you? Were you a little knee-jerked, little shocked as well?
Well, I think what I guess most people, and I was just reading through some comments on Facebook, and Adam Dobb, who always comes through for us, sort of cleared the air a little on. So it looks like Sydney are heading down to Melbourne, while Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Canberra head to Adelaide. So it looks like it's. But what's confusing in all this, and again, maths is not my strong point, DV, at all. But from what I can figure out, the Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, Canberra play each other twice. So they play a total of 6 games per team. We know it's a 24-game schedule. So that leaves 18 games remain. So one can only assume that if you divide 18 and 3, that equals 6. So we're assuming there's 6 3-game series. But then why are we playing a 2-game series? And that to me doesn't make a lot of sense. But
X squared minus Y squared squared by the power of something. I don't know. I know that the power of baseball is going to somehow fight its way through and win and play. On the show, we're going to really kind of talk about this a little bit. There's also some news behind it that I think is pretty good with the potential showcase for the women's game, which is something I'm excited about that. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about something that the Brisbane Bandits have done. I think it's great that they're going to reunite with the Brew Crew. We'll break that down at the very end of the show. There's been so much up and down. I'm going to give you a little fun little video at the end of the show to kind of just to kind of calm the nerves, I think, and put us back in a baseball frame of mind. But of course, as always, your questions, your comments, they're welcome right here. We want to hear from you. If you've got something you want to throw in, we're looking forward to hearing from you. What we do know today, we expect, and now I'm looking at my timepiece here, and I got this little app here that tells you what time it is around the world. We expect that at some point this afternoon in Perth, so it'll be late afternoon in Victoria, we expect to have the full fixture announcement coming out. Is that what you understand as well?
That's what I understand, but and who knows what that fixture is going to be, Diva? I'm still trying to plug away the numbers.
It is okay. What he's talking about. Let's go ahead and go with that first. I got the release here in my hands here. The breaking news: Adelaide will host 12 Australian Baseball League games across 7 days in January. It's going to go 14th through 20. So January 14 Jan to 20 Jan, under partnership with the South Australian government, who I thought was busy doing quarantine, but I guess they've got some time to do baseball. Just
extra coin to play baseball is lovely.
I need that government in the United States. That's what I need, is a government that can do some things. It goes on to talk about the TrackMan unit, which we'll talk about that down the road. It is a good unit, but there's a lot of analytics. If you like analytics, that's a really good thing for the league. I think you're seeing that's the way it's heading anyway, as far as analytics go. But it's going to be, again, the teams that'll be in this hub: Brisbane, Canberra, Perth, and Adelaide, all in this hub. We presume, and as my partner said, just doing the math, the algebra, the ABL algebra, it seems to be 2 games. My assumption is they'll go on your you won't. Traditionally, when you look at the schedule and the standings together, the ladder together, you usually look on Sunday and kind of see where the dust settles. This will be one of those deals here. You'll do the same thing, but it won't be like watching a 4-game series. You'll wait the entire week's over to see where things go. You'll throw those wins and losses on the overall standings. It won't be a traditional series win for you, but it's going to help your overall up and down record. It's also got a 7-day, 12-game broadcast-friendly hub arrangement as well. That apparently announcement's coming. I have reached out to the EBL to get a clarification on that. We expect that to be coming sometime midweek of next week, at least. Some initial indications are that's the plan. The good part of this thing, too, in the back end, well, it's all good, is that there'll be 2 games played each day in the ABL hub from Sunday, January 17th, to showcase the women's doubleheader, basically what a women's showcase. Something we've talked about, and I'm glad to see this. I'm kind of diverging here a little bit. I'm glad to see this from a standpoint of, we know the women's game is on the table to grow the women's fixture or the women's league. We know that's something the league wants to do. We know Baseball Australia champions that, but this whole COVID thing's derailed that to a degree. I think just getting a fixture out's been a pain in the ass in the first place.
Yeah.
And I was worried that this women's thing might kind of put it behind the 8 ball going forward. It's good to see some of that traction being gained here. It's a classic example of striking while the iron's hot. The league's got a showcase event. Let's also showcase the women's game. That is really good news as we try to move forward to a women's league as well. That's all buried in this whole announcement. There was an announcement prior to this today, but to me, the hub thing is cool. It's good. It's still scratching my head. But the women's exhibition, that's huge. I think that is definitely going to help grow the women's potential league down the road, where I thought we'd lose traction there.
Yeah, of course, there was the League of Her Own petition or fundraising that sort of happened last year. I think the aim was to memory serves was to get 250,000. I think they're up to 30,000 as well. So to get that exposure as well, hopefully that's part of the broadcast deal, whatever the broadcast deal is in Adelaide, which is great news. And that's we've got to continue forging through and forging ahead there. And no better this week. It's been a great week for women in baseball as well. Of course, with the Miami Marlins news. Hopefully down the track we'll have hitting coach from a few people on just to kind of have their 2 cents. But and yeah, it's just on Stuart's point with Cam Vale. We wanted to have him.
Yeah,
DB, but,
yeah. Let me. First off, we need to do a show. Is once all this settles down, you and I are both, fathers of daughters. I've got 2, you've got 1, and a son. I'd love to do a show just about the impact the last few weeks alone, and the Australia's been a part of that, and the major league announcements as well, and do just a whole show on that women's impact and see if we can get some guests on that. Stuart, yes, Cam Vale, I promised you last week he'd be on today. What I probably should have said was, assuming the fixture came out, we thought was supposed to come out yesterday, Thursday, he was scheduled to come on today. He is still going to be on the show next week, and he and I have been back and forth. We're actually working out, because this is the weird part about this whole deal. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving in the States, and that's a very big family time for a lot of us. Our dinner time falls right in the middle of this show. But Cam and I are working out a way to tape the interview, and we're either going to do the show on Wednesday in the States, Thursday in Australia, or Paul and I are going to talk about that afterwards. But rest assured, Cam will be on our show next week. I guarantee you, he would have been on today, but there's nothing to talk about yet because the announcement is not coming on. And he originally thought that the announcement would come yesterday. Apparently, and this is something Paul and I were talking about before we came on the air, there was a hitch. I don't know what the hitch was, and we'll ask him what that might have been, but there was some small hitch. It may have been the whole South Australia situation. I don't know. Just speculating, but for whatever reason, they moved the announcement from yesterday, which we thought was going to come on Thursday, to Friday late hours. So that's why he's not on, but he will be on, and he will be on, and we're actually going to tape it in advance to work around the Thanksgiving holiday here. So sorry about that. I know a lot of you folks are waiting for that. I hope you will still stick around and have a little chat with us about baseball. So we got that clarified, partner. I think we got our knee jerks. We don't know exactly how the fixture is going to look, but what we do believe, we do know this: all the teams have come out and told us that their first home series will remain unchanged. On the back end, however that works out is anybody's guess, but it looks to be this thing will wrap up the normal time into January and go to the postseason with that 24-game schedule. Is that what you're reading as well?
Yeah, I'm reading. Yeah, so it's still be the 24-game schedule, still starting 18th of December, from what I believe. That last round should, in theory, start around that 28th of this January mark. So it'll be around the same. So I mean, the way that I've kind of penciled it or figured it out, but again, I could very much be wrong here as I kind of stall to figure something out.
All good.
So look,
all good.
To me, it looks like round 1 will be the 18th of December, which we know is the Canberra Cavalry coming to Perth. I don't think you'll see another round then until the 1st of January. The next weekend is Christmas, so I wouldn't have thought you're going to play. I know there was some speculation about playing some Boxing Day games on the Saturday. I'm just not sure whether that's going to happen or not, just purely based on cost of travel, et cetera, et cetera. You look at around sort of that New Year series, the 8th of January, 15th of January, 22nd of January, and 29th of January is kind of where I would see the series going, which is about the normal time of the year. Six series plus the hub experience. I've got as can happen 6 3-game series plus the hub experience. Don't know exactly what Melbourne and Sydney will have, but I assume they're playing each other 2 3-game series, so 6 times I would assume. But who would know? We won't know for another hour or 2 hours. So it'll be
a couple more hours.
I do know that probably Perth are more likely to play their games in January. Their home games, of course, outside of Canberra Cavalry. Still got some issues with the border, et cetera, et cetera. Special comments as they come through, but
the dog ain't happy about it. He's not happy about this at all, as you can hear him in the background.
No, he's not happy. But so I'd imagine from a Perth Heat point of view, anyway, I know they want to play their games in January, so I'd expect the adjustments to be made. I don't think that Melbourne series will happen round 2 coming over to Perth in 2020. I think that'll all happen in the new year.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know,
Again, we're speculating, and again, some of this, I think you mentioned Adam Dobb. It mentioned some things earlier. What we do know, I'll give you what I do know, and this is from. I wish the dog would stop. Honey, could you help me out? I'm on the air live. I don't know what's going on down in my house. I mean, downstairs. Let me give you a couple little bullet points here. These are nuggets that the league did send us today in advance of all this. So let me give you what I got here. Again, the 24 games. We do know this. We do know all teams will play 24 games. The hub, home and away, are integrated into the schedule. So we do know what we do know is there's going to be home and away schedules for these teams, plus the hub that'll affect for the teams, as we've already known. One conference. We know it'll be one conference. That's what we've speculated already. And then the regular season extended to end of January. So we're going to get this thing done into January, which is pretty much the normal window. But that all came from League HQ to us, and that's exactly that's where it stands. So that a figure, basically, that's the framework and how the other. Well, you know your first series. If you're Melbourne, you know your first series. You're Perth, you know your first series. Now, how it all fixtures around it, that's the question. You know your hub, for at least for Perth's situation, they know their hub is going to be that one stretch. You know your opening series, you know your hub situation, how everything else trickles in. That's what we'll find out later on today. But that is the official update, and that is the hottest off the presses we got for you here on Talking Baseball Australia Live, baseball's best mate. So that's what I got for you in that department. Let's jump into a couple of things. The hot stove does stay brewing. Before I get there, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I want to talk about just a little bit of the effects that happened with this announcement. And I wanted to get the headline. This was speculated last week. What would happen to some of the Tuatara players as far as the New Zealand players? Where would they go? Obviously, we knew some of the import. We already seen the imports. Well, at least one in Dylan Unsworth, and others scatter. What would happen as far as some of the domestic players? And we've seen already that fallout to a degree, and I think you're still going to see it. I proposed an idea, and I thought it'd be a good one. It's probably a little late in the game, but my idea was, how could the league, do what they did perhaps in the American Association? Would have been fun, and they didn't have enough time because you're less than a month away. But what I think would have been really good is for them to go to the Tuatara players and say, look, or to the Tuatara and say, look, in addition to not playing this year, and of course, because all the fallout probably wasn't possible, but here's what my idea would have been. Let's do a courtesy draft. We're going to draft your players to the other teams in the Australian Baseball League with your revisionary rights going back to you. So these players would play a one season for, say, Perth or Melbourne or whoever, and then go back to New Zealand. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but you're already seeing ramifications of some of the players moving along, going to other teams. And one of them, the headline guy, and this is a big one, is that Elliot Johnstone, breakout year last year with the Tuatara, going 4-1, a 109 ERA in 12 ball games. He does go to Adelaide. They didn't waste any time. Adelaide, who may be a little thin on some imports, jumped in and got one from across the ditch there.
And their arms are pretty good now, Adelaide. They've got a pretty stacked. Their arm lineup's pretty good, but as you said, there's probably Canberra and Adelaide are just lacking. We know that Adelaide had the deal with the Phillies, which has been announced as well. So we'll see some Phillies arms. But this guy's like he was arguably DV the pick of the litter, but. And it'll be interesting. But I thought Mikey Reynolds might head back to Adelaide as well.
Yeah, well, and when Reynolds, I believe he was on that list too. And I know Stuart Cable does a great job of posting that on ABL Fans. Of course, the league does as well with the ABL signings as well, which I think is great. The rosters are there. It's a little misleading sometimes because they don't always, for example, we've told you guys this before that we believe there's other Heat players that have been signed, but we haven't been released yet. But I want to go back to my comment. Would you have enjoyed kind of a fantasy draft for the Kiwi players or the New Zealand domestics too? Yeah, I think it'd been fun. That'd have been a way to create energy and goodwill back and forth, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would have been pretty fun. So I think that I'm with you, DV. I think they could have had a lot of fun with it. Like especially, and it may well have. Look, it may well have just helped broach the bad blood that seems to have happened. And boy, hasn't that been a fallout this week? Lots of speculation and rumors flying around about a lot of different things that's going on with the Tuatara. But back to your point, DV, I think it would have been great because there are still player names on that Tuatara list that I would love to see. I mean, Danny Valencia is one that I'd love to see play in the ABL to see where he's at and whatnot. So it'll be interesting,
And
DV.
the reason I throw this out there for them, you got to think of this from, okay, let's look at the Australian point of view. You want to get as many reps for the Australian domestic players as possible because they're competing for the national team. Now, New Zealand is a few years behind the Australian national team, but they put a lot of commitment into growing their national team as well. We talk about it all the time. You need reps. And these kids, are not getting, Elliott's going to get reps pitching this year. These guys need reps. They need chances to get innings, at bats, competitive games in. This is huge, and that's why I think that maybe there was a missed opportunity here. And I'm hearing it's down the line a bit, but in the American Association, I throw it out all the time. They did a very similar deal this year, and it was very successful, and a lot of guys got time to play. And not every player played. Some guys opted out, but their rights went back to the previous team. They, for example, Kansas City had a conference call yesterday over here. And our manager, Joe Capietro, was telling us all of our guys are back that we loaned out or had drafted out. It was like but I think, we talk about, you got to remember, the New Zealand national team is hoping to develop talent as well through the ABL and through the Tuatara. And they're missing out on at bats this year, something that's going to be an underlying factor here.
100% agree with you, DV. But as Adam sort of commented, hard to speculate the piece. But
and that's what I was saying. It's a little bit late down the road. And I was telling this to somebody on a chat the other day. Ideally, if this would have been 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, you could have done that. I believe the American Association did it about 6 weeks out, 7 weeks out. You're now under a month. It's hard to make, especially international travel, quarantines, and all that stuff. It's not just it's definitely is a bit of a headache. But I'm just saying, I think there was an opportunity missed here. I'm not being critical, but I think there was an opportunity missed here to perhaps help both parties. But anyway, that's my take there. Adam, appreciate it. Glad you're along too as well, everybody, here on Talking Baseball Australia Live. Baseball's best mate. My name's Dan Vaughn. Paul Morgan with you as we dissect the news of the day. I mentioned the Elliott Johnstone stuff there with the Adelaide Giants. You mentioned the Phillies and Adelaide. I think this is an interesting one and a good one. I remember growing up as a kid, and I remember when the Milwaukee Brewers were actually playing in the American League. I do remember this. I mean, it was something that they, only in recent memory have they actually been in the. I mean, you recall I'm talking about, right? They used to be an American League team, and I used to see guys like this pop over into the old Rangers ballpark, old Globe Life Field. I would see this face. You'd see that gentleman right there, Dave Nielsen. To me, he was, and I thought of Australia, and I would think about him. I thought about him, and of course, Graham Lloyd later on. They both were teammates with the Brewers. I mean, and natural fit, Brisbane. The colors even match. The Bandits and the Brew Crew are now partners. I love to see this. This is the kind of thing. It seems like a perfect fit. Brizzy Brewing, I call it. But to have that relationship to me, and I even had a video game as a kid, Sony PlayStation early MLB The Show, the early edition, and I always played the Brewers because Dave Nielsen was Australian, and I had my Brewers team, and I remember those great, not great, but decent Brewers teams in the late '90s, the American League, and this is a guy I saw all the time, but pretty good news here, I think. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And what I like as well is, as you said, DV, it's sort of Brisbane reverted their colour scheme as well. Like they're very similar now, colour scheme to the Bandits. I like that. I think that works really well. And yeah, nothing but good news. But this has been, I think, some of the best news of the week outside of the schedule has come from the stories like Brisbane connecting with the Brewers. the Sydney Blue Sox doing such a great job with the celebrity softball game, which is just coming up as well, and with Team Manny versus Team Lloydie, and there's just some great little initiatives being done. I know Perth are doing a celebrity, very loosely termed celebrity sort of baseball game here in a couple of weeks' time as well. So there's a lot of good things happening, and a lot of teams that are using their initiative just to kind of get things done. So of course Sydney, the Blue Sox as well. I know we've got a Brewers picture on, but the Blue Sox announcing that while I was thinking of it, I saw Adam Dobb that
you're right.
That home run derby they've got as well on a Boxing Day. So
no, and I again, and this is something I say all the time, and I know it probably steps on some toes, but don't take it that way. Right now, where we sit in the ABL, where the Australian Baseball League sits in the pecking order in sport in Australia, it's down. It's down just outside the top 10. And for all practical purposes, right now, it's a minor league. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It can eventually become, because first off, as long as it plays in the wintertime in North America, it will still be thought of that. It's a winter league, quote unquote. It plays in the Aussie summer, but the whole minor league model is entertainment, creating new buzz, creating atmosphere, and things like that. Home run derbies like Sydney, initiatives like this with the Brewers and the Bandits, the Perth thing, that celebrity event. Those are all things that go into the minor league model of creating synergy, creating brand awareness, and creating the opportunity for this game to grow to eventually become a top tier, sport in Australia. I mean, that's what you do to grow it. And the minor league model, it drew million. What was it? 20. I think the total was 20 some odd million people last year watched minor league baseball. That's not terrible. That's pretty good. That's pretty good model.
It is, and let's not forget, DV, when you go to the highest peaks of baseball at the moment. I mean, MLB had the worst ratings ever, like for the World Series and the year. So there's the work for both. So the more stuff we can do at these grassroots levels, and not that this is the grassroots level, but
no.
At the same time, like I think any of this stuff that can be done, what we got on screen, these partnerships with the Major League Baseball team. Then maybe coming to Australia and doing some fun things. And look, I don't know, and I don't know the ins and outs about the home run derby or the Lloyd versus Ramirez softball game. Seems like that could be a really good opportunity to take a game into the inner city of Sydney, or to have some fun down at a park somewhere down close to the harbour or something like that, to kind of really get that heavy exposure. But it's all positive, DV, because as well as I do, baseball has a real problem and has to have a lot of fun to start capturing a younger audience.
There's no doubt. And moving outside the box, things like that, I think it's a great opportunity. And I meant to say this earlier. There's an opportunity here that America has missed out on. And for some reason, and I don't know why, I can't explain this, but in general, young ladies in the United States play softball. Don't know why they don't play baseball. I don't know why. I grew up in a time, if you remember the Bad News Bears original movie, there was a female pitcher, young Tatum O'Neal. That was so far-fetched that never happened. But Australia has been so far out in front of developing the women's baseball game and women's sport in general. And I think there's a really good opportunity here. And I go back to that whole showcase event. That's a great example of putting some events together to create momentum and create growth that quite frankly, the United States has missed. Now, granted, I'll use T-Bone Stadium as an example. There's been some great women's softball exhibitions played there at T-Bone Stadium with 4,000 or 5,000 people, but there's no women's baseball league being pushed like it is being pushed in Australia. That's a great advantage. And that may be the one little combination that, along with this minor league synergy and these other things they're doing, those little things all add up. And that could be the one thing that really kickstarts our game into the front pages of the sports page. I mean, I just to throw that out there.
No, I agree. And one of the things, that you see, like in broadcast deals in Australia anyway, with sport, like the leagues are pretty bullish the league's very bullish in saying that, if you take the broadcast rights for the AFL, for example, you also need to take the broadcast rights, or you need to air X amount of AFLW games, or same with the cricket. If you're taking the cricket rights, you need to take some of the women's Big Bash rights as well. So they're really doing great. And, our good friend Wendy D'Souza took 3 years to transition from playing
Yes.
softball to baseball. Wendy was, I think she was, last time she was playing baseball, no, she's got a back injury at the moment, but I think she was hitting 750 last time she was playing.
The Rangers, wasn't it? Calamundo, is that what she was playing for? Calamundo Rangers, I believe.
The Indians for a minute as well. So, Wendy, and that's it. Wendy, one of the great pioneers of baseball. We can all remember, particularly when Warwick Sawpole got called up to Detroit when Wendy featured heavily on Detroit radio.
She was on Detroit radio. I'd forgot all about that. What was that show called? What was that show in Detroit?
I think it was Mad Mike in the morning, and Wendy went live to 2 million people in Michigan to talk about Warwick Sawpole and baseball in Australia.
Yeah, it was Wayne County, Michigan. They're in Detroit. Well, I love to see this stuff. We're going to always push on Talking Baseball Australia Live, those extra things, but all the things that are going on. Here's the deal. We got two pathways. We have this COVID path, and it sucks. It's a bumpy-ass road, a lot of potholes, and it's a mess. But we've also got a lot of folks who are doing some really good things. And we've mentioned Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, all these places. And we've had Canberra on with their partnerships, and we know what Melbourne's done. I mean, they've been out in front doing all kinds of things. That road looks really exciting. So if we can get past this crappy COVID way, this road looks really bright for what the future of the league holds, back to 8+ teams and really some great things. So I throw that out there. Let's go back. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you very quickly before we move on, DV, do you think, and what we were talking about just before when it comes to the ABL, I mean, I think the ABL needs to be a place that, you talk about the pioneering of sport for women, you talk about the ABL has to be a place where baseball can sort of reinvent itself, and maybe they can try some things in Australia that then can transition into maybe AAA Major League Baseball, because it's not a little problem. Baseball has a major problem, not a little problem, and without fixing it, like that game is totally screwed in the next 20 years. So it's just it would be so great to see some things happen in the ABL in the next couple of years that maybe get implemented in Major League Baseball, just to sort of, I don't know, just be that pioneer league, DV.
Baseball's like the holiday gathering. You've got the old stoogey uncle and the grandfather in the corner in their sweaters who they talk about the old days and how things used to be. Then you got the cool uncle that walks in. He's single. He's like, hey, he's got the convertible top down in the winter. He's got, hey, have you seen this new gadget I got? We need more of that, more of this. Hey, this new gadget lesson, because baseball is not going to. Baseball's the old guy in the corner with the shawl sweater on, saying, "Well, the old days were better." And you need the cool uncle to come in and say, "Well, you know what? I've seen a pretty cool place, and let's do it this way." And we've been through this so many times with 7 innings versus 9, extra inning rules, DH, no DH, home run trots, showing up pitcher, all these things. These unwritten rules are all those old guys in the corner. And how we navigate that, but there's an opportunity here for the ABL to be that guinea pig and say, hey, you know what? Let's try it down there. 100%. What do you have to lose?
Well, that's it. And I think, DV, I wouldn't consider myself an old person. I mean, I'm 40 next year, but it's something that really hit home for me the other day was I was at my sister's house, and my nephew who's 14. Anyway, he's got 13. He's got one of those virtual reality headsets for PlayStation. Anyway, I put it on, and he's played the Star Wars game, and all of a sudden I'm in this bloody Star Wars game. There's this whole warehouse. I'm playing a fighter, and you think to yourself, geez, like it's just you just think like when a 14-year-old can get like literally be fighting, like flying in a virtual reality a fighter jet, and then you transpose to watching a baseball game on television, and you think, geez, it needs to have a lot more razzle dazzle. And the great Nathan Davidson, of course, at the Adelaide Giants. I mean, they put on a great show there, and it just needs to be and I'm hoping this little sort of this mini tournament, for example, where the 4 teams are going to Adelaide. Heck, you never know. Maybe this could be something that you go to Texas one day and there's 10 MLB teams playing round robins in Texas for Super Weekend.
And they mentioned that today, and this is something that goes back to, I think Cam Vale told us first interview we had with him. This is something that, and I don't know if you've seen this, but the NBA has actually got a proposal out now to have a play-in tournament for the final 7 and 8 spots in both Eastern and Western conferences. These are things that their leagues are doing that maybe a few years ago were off the table, but you've got to start doing these things because, and again, there was a time, and I use the American sport culture where your baseball or your athletes that everybody knew about, the kids wanted to be Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle or whoever, right? They wanted to be those guys. Now they want to be, Patrick Mahomes, or they want to be, LeBron James. It wasn't always like that. And those sports, the NFL, the NBA, have been out in front, growing their game internationally. The NBA has done a phenomenal job internationally. NFL playing, in Europe and playing in London, and just their TV show, the way they market their game, the way they make the game fit into TV, the whole culture of both sports has passed baseball by, because baseball's kind of sat there and go, well, again, the old guy in the corner tapping his toes saying, well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to have now they've started to do things. They've been replaying the NFL for years. They're just now doing it in baseball, for example. Baseball is so hard to change. And again, trying some things differently, playing this little hub thing. Yeah, on paper, we're kind of trying to figure out the algebra here, how it works on the actual standings. But the good news is this is a baseball celebration, a baseball festival that could be a great thing for Adelaide in the future. And I can see this little thing moving around the country and becoming the ABL Baseball Festival for a 7-day celebration of the great game.
I think a festival of baseball is a great opportunity. And look, think about it in Adelaide. Like, there's an opportunity for people to there's an opportunity for probably someone to buy a 7-day pass to go to 12 games of baseball and fall in love with the game. So it's a great thing. And I think, I'm glad we're doing it. And, like, we've been to Adelaide a bunch of times, DV as well. And it's an awesome spot to host, by far the closest ballpark to an airport, but it's a great place to have. Like,
there is
have a little tournament as well.
777 to Singapore,
like the old Shea Stadium. It's brilliant. So,
well, I've told this story on the air in the States. I love that part because it's the closest one that I believe to the beach, because the beach is about 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
And these people in America go, really? There's like a real beach, not like on the edge of the water, like a real beach where folks are kicking it on the beach. I mean, what to me, as a landlocked Texan in North Texas, what better thing than baseball and a beach?
I still think there should be a beach. There's lots of beach cricket. So Perth's a great example for it. There should be a beach. Heck, I mean, great if the Blue Sox could play their celebrity softball game on Bondi Beach. I mean, it might be a bit hard, but how amazing would that be? But and Matt, yeah, another good point. Another great thing that the Blue Sox are doing. So, boy, we have to get ourselves some Blue Sox caps soon, DV. We giving us the Blue Sox love. So it's
I got my
app.
I got my Aces care package. Where's our care package? Right?
I say it's a good point, and it's one thing I was talking to someone else about. Like, there needs to be more. There needs to be a centralized ABL shop as well. I mean, I know there is, but there needs to be more of the caps and everything around and being sold out there in the Rebel Sportses and what's not. But so the Blue Sox have a new streaming deal as well, as Matt said, which is on one of the streaming apps as well, which is exciting news for the Sydney Blue Sox as well. So presumably most of the games, maybe all the games, are streamed up at Rudy Hill / Blacktown. So I'm not sure if the stadium has a name, but I'll have to double check that.
All right. Well, let's jump to the hot stove update real quickly. Roll through this as we are I guess we're heading toward third here. Dan Vaughn and Paul Morgan with you on Talking Baseball Australia Live. Baseball's best mate. Of course, your questions, comments, we'd love to hear from you. Share it, like our page. This is a guy that I can take us back many, many, many moons ago in our infancy, when a young couldn't even drive yet. The young man could not drive yet. Young Sam Kennelly was not even legally able to drive. His mom brought him to the studio there in Hamilton Hill in Perth, brought us live on the air with us as a live guest for our Talking Baseball Australia Live on a Wednesday night on Sport FM. And he do you know, let me ask you off the top of your head, how old is Sam Kennelly right now?
I think he's 24.
Exactly as a great man once said.
Because
I was like, is he 24? He seems like we've been talking about Sam Kennelly for 10 years, 15 years. He's only 24.
No, well, it's I know for a fact, DV. It's been 8 years since, because the show that we had Sam Kennelly, almost 8 years to the day, because that show, if you remember, I called in live from Korea as the Heat was playing in the Asia Series down in Busan, South Korea, and Sammy Kennelly was on the air in my replacement, and so he's 16, DV, when he first came on to Talking Baseball. At that time, he was a Pittsburgh Pirate prospect.
He had just signed too.
Yeah.
He just signed like maybe a month or two before, and he hadn't even headed over the States yet. And he didn't have his license, and Mom brought him. And of course, we love the Kennelly family. We're they're dear friends of ours, and love them all very much. But I just had a pause this morning when I saw this. I'm going, dang it, you're turning 40 in a 3 months. I'm really old. And Sammy's 24. We've been doing this a while. Dang it, time flies.
Yeah.
We're having fun. Eh? Anyway, good to have him back. But that's not the only news for the Heat. This one happened in the last, 24 hours or so. The guy who I believe, and I say this every time we talk about this guy on the air, he should have a script written about his 2013 season in the States. But the one and only big lefty, Daniel Schmidt. Schmitty will be making a return as well. I don't think there was much of a surprise there, but the big lefty coming back, Daniel Schmidt, he is what's right about this game, isn't he?
He is. I would have to say, I don't know if there's many nicer guys in the league than Dan Schmidt. And, you talk about the sort of eight-year journey of Talking Baseball as well. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people at the time, and Dan Schmidt is one of the guys who has always been so open and accommodating with his time, and just a real nice guy. Look, this probably could very well be his last season in the ABL. You would think. I mean, the sun's setting on his career now, but just a great addition, great head, and probably still have that. Well, assuming that I think they're only playing 3-game series, according to my algebra, but he may sort of either pick up that be in relief, or maybe sort of get a short inning start somewhere along the line. Yeah,
and not to get into his numbers, but just to tell you what I've always thought, the fact that you've got a guy like this on a back end of a road, most wins, obviously, in the ABL. I'm going to pull up his career numbers. I've got them right here for you. His career numbers, 38-27 in 10 seasons overall. That's including Australia. Career ERA, where is that? I've got it here somewhere. Career ERA and 4.37 in career ERA. One thing that I think that's important, the fact that you can throw this guy in your pitching depth. He can pitch in relief. He can pitch as a starter. He's a guy that can get you some innings. If you see a guy like Unsworth who throws hard, boom, 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 you get a guy like this that comes in and is crafty. He can be tough on hitters. What I also like about him, too, is that there's a story here that I think a lot of young Australians probably would be well in their interest to listen to, thinking about going over and playing in the States, because he played parts of 5 seasons over in the U.S. as an affiliated player, as the independent player. He can tell you the route. He can tell you the ups and downs. This is a guy, and I love this part about him. The script is his 2013 season, where he was living in a clubhouse eating hot dogs as a team. He and his teammates were basically, the team folded in the season, right? Remember that story?
And I can't remember if he was either sleeping on an inflatable boat or a massage table, or one of the two.
Well, that was in Alexandria, Louisiana, the United League. And then so he and his buddies, he actually didn't make the cut in Wichita that year, went down to Alexandria, Louisiana. Team folds midway through the season. They're living in the clubhouse, eating the leftover concessions food. And then he gets a call to go to Edinburgh, which is down on the valley of Texas. He goes there and winds up rags to riches, wins a championship, beating the Fort Worth Cats that year. And Schmidt got the win in relief in the he actually won 2 games in that championship series against Fort Worth. So it was a
Mm.
season where he lost 2 jobs, won one, and got a championship all in one season in the States. That kind of, he went out in a high in the States. Of course, he's won many a Claxton Shield, but this guy's story, from a serious standpoint, it's a great lesson. And I think this is a guy down the road that the ABL and Baseball Australia, I guess more or less, should use this guy as a guy to come in and speak to young prospective baseballers and say, look, this is what you're up against, and here's the way to navigate. This guy is a wealth of knowledge and just a great bloke, no doubt about it.
Amen, DV. I can't really add anything more because you've nailed it all.
Sorry about that. I just rolled off there. A couple of other items here quickly. The ABL hot stove update to give them to you is because I got one more thing I want to get to as well. We got a couple things here. It would be the Aces. They're quiet for a moment, but not that quiet. They wind up grabbing a couple of locals, Jared Dale and I don't have Jared up here right now. I've got Dale's picture. I don't have his picture up, but Jared Dale, Padres farmhand, a guy that was having some good numbers in the Padres organization, is going to be returning back to the Aces as well. And let's see, Jack. Am I saying this right? Encianato. Am I saying that right, partner?
I would think it'd be Encianato.
Yeah, okay.
But I could be wrong. But
3 reliever appearances last year, all for the Aces, and then also a 5.77, 18-19, and 34 and a third. So he's back there. And again, I mentioned Dale as well. These are guys, and this is a thing that I thought about Dale, his situation in general, because he falls in the same sort of situation that Alex Hall fell into, or Robbie Glendening, guys who have a chance to pitch or play affiliated ball, didn't get a chance last year. And Jared didn't get a chance for the Padres organization last year either. These are valuable signings for the Aces, not just for the Aces' depth, but also for the development of young players in Australia. They didn't get the chance at MILB next year. They may not get a chance this year. There's some talk that the MILB may be delayed start again. We're not even sure how that's going to go. That's all still up in the air. These at-bats, these innings are all very big for guys like Dale, and also for Encianato as well.
Enciando.
Okay.
Stuart come through with a
Thank
good
you, Stuart.
Enciando.
Thank you, Stuart. I did my Latin pronunciation improperly, but
Enciando.
Enciando, appreciate it. Thanks very much, Shane, for the kind words as well. And also Stuart says Riley Unruh announced by Brisbane this morning. Appreciate that as well. See, it always happens. It always happens. Did I miss something? Did I say something wrong?
No, I think it's just that. I think it's just just how to say thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry. It's my redneck Texas accent. Is that what it is? Anyway, appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Every time we come on, we get breaking news every time we're on, right? So we just sit here long enough.
Friday says to me the day that they like to announce things, and of course the schedule coming out later. If you're just joining us, the schedule should be out. Is it 1:30? I'm confused whether it's 1:30 in Perth.
I was told 1:30 Perth. 1:30 Perth time is what I was told.
4:30 in the East, 4:00 in Adelaide, 3:30 in Brisbane, I believe. That's right.
Yes, I believe that.
If I know my clocks.
I believe that's correct.
It's a strange time to release this. Is it just me? That's a strange time to release the schedule, 4:00 on Friday.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. I don't really know if there was a reason for that. Let me see here.
What I will say, what I do like though, is, of course, we talked last week about, part of my journey and whatnot has been in PR, and we talked about the press release from Baseball Australia last week, and like would you have gone so savage or not? And like the two things I always remember during my time in public relations was always try to get to the newsroom. Always get to the newsroom by latest 7:00 in the morning would be great. Never do anything in the never send a release in the afternoons, and never cook anyone in a press release. But,
well, I do have some updates here. I do have an update here for you guys real quickly here. about the hub, why the hub's going to work. The way I understand it now, this just came to me. One team will enter to join Brisbane and Adelaide for 4 games in 3 days, double headers, 7 innings. So that's what I've got on that whole deal. So that answers a little bit of what we talked about to a degree. Again, so now we'll do now the algebra really confuses me now. So one team joins Brisbane and Adelaide for 4 games in 3 days. Okay, so a doubleheader mixed in there. And then there'll be a back-ended range of games perhaps down the road, maybe even a place like Perth, perhaps, but it doesn't say exactly where. But just to throw that out there, that just came to me a moment ago. I reached out as a show on the air. Let's have some fun here. I want to give you guys this is a segment we do every week, and it's a little Did You Know? Let me give the Did You Know music real quickly, partner with production value. Here we go. Did You Know is the segment. And all right, little Did You Know for you guys. I was doing the Dave Nielsen stuff today about the whole Milwaukee Brewers connection and all that, and I was just looking through his baseball reference. And I love baseball reference. I can nerd out for hours on baseball reference and go through. What's cool about baseball reference is you can find places, it tells you where they played in the minors, the big leagues. I did not know this. Now, do you guys know that the Colorado Rockies, of course, are in the MLB, correct? Well, did you know that the former Brewer and Bandit skipper Dave Nielsen made 8 stops in his minor league career while embarking on 8 major league seasons, okay? So he had some stops along the way. He played in 16 pro seasons in all, but was on an interesting team in 1992, which also was his major league debut season. Now, that's the interesting part. He split time between AAA and the big leagues that year. He made his debut, I believe, mid-May of 92. Nielsen spent part of the MLB debut season at AAA Denver. AAA Denver. Now, you're thinking, well, the Colorado Rockies play in Denver. It was the last year of AAA baseball in Denver when the Denver Zephyrs, who now have found their way to New Orleans and now to Wichita, Kansas, the Denver Zephyrs' final season in the old American Association. Back in those days, there were 3 AAA leagues in the International, Pacific, and American, and the Denver Zephyrs, as they were called, played a Mile High Stadium. Yes, that Mile High Stadium, the old original football stadium, built for the Denver Bears in the 1940s, in the old days, an old minor league park turned into a football stadium. It was their final season of minor league baseball until the Rockies came to town in 1993 and played, incidentally, for a couple of years there, the new tenant in Mile High Stadium before they built Coors Field. But did you know, Dave Nielsen, in his debut season, played his half a season at AAA Denver. The last year Denver was minor league. How about that, partner?
That is a good did you know, because that was something I did not know. So it's a good did you know. So.
Yeah, see, great nuggets here, folks, right there. Great nuggets on Did You Know as we give you that little blurb here. Okay, now as we round third here and head for home.
Can I add one quick? Who were the Denver Bears then? Were they then Chicago Bears? Or no?
No, the Denver Bears would have been, I don't know who they were affiliated with back in those days. That's a good question. I need to figure that out. Yeah, that'll be one I'll dig up for next week. The Denver Bears were a minor league team that was, then again, back in the 1948 season when they built Mile High Stadium. Again, did you know? I thought it was interesting to note that his last AAA stop before the big leagues, he went to some rehab stops after that. They were in New Orleans by then, the Zephyrs were, and they eventually became the Pelicans, and the Zephyr name is no more, but the Denver Zephyrs were the old team. Of course, Zephyrs, it was a horse logo, much like the Denver Bronco logo as well. That's what I got. So next week, and I'm going to play this video. I don't know if you want to stay around with the video or not, mate. I don't know if you got to go or not.
But I will let the video roll because I've got to head off to a couple of meetings. But as always, DV, it's been a pleasure. Yeah,
a pleasure, folks. I'm glad, partner, you joined me. Any final thoughts before I roll the video? Any final thoughts for the week as we wait?
I think look, the fixture will come out this week. I think let's all be very optimistic and positive about baseball returning. Let's be all, yes, the 7 innings thing is probably going to happen, as Chris highlights. That's all part of your broadcast deal as well. understand that networks are only going to take a certain amount of airtime. So 7 innings means there's a good broadcast deal, you would think. But yeah, look, it's a beautiful day for baseball out in the West at the moment. We're a month away. It's just time to get excited, DV. Time to just start supporting your baseball team. You know, these owners, and I will give a lot of props to the owner group here. Like the fact that they're all in and they're all playing. They're all gonna probably lose a little bit of money this year. So make sure you buy your hats, your t-shirts, your concessions. Get down, support all your clubs, and that's it for me, DV. Well, there you go. The Bears were a Yankee affiliate.
Yes, and I think you make a great point, partner. I'll close out after you're gone, but I think you made a great point. And you talked about this last week. This is not going to be a money-making season for anyone, and even in a business that's not money-making anyway. And so, yes, support your team, buy your tickets, buy your merch, jump on board these events that are going on. It'll be a big deal, partner. By the way, we're working on the schedule for next week. It's Turkey Day over here on Thursday. Are we going to?
Yes.
We'll talk about it. We'll post
chat,
when we're going to air. We'll chat later, but
yeah.
I'll let you go, mate. And I'm going to play this video for you folks. But much love to you, my friend, and thanks for a great job as always.
Thank you, David. Thanks all. See you next week.
There he is, Paul Morgan there in the West. And let's see here. Love the Heat. Great to see Daniel Schmidt back. He is a great guy. And a league full of great guys. Okay, I mentioned this last week, and I wanted to close with something positive and good. We've had a lot of let's face the facts. It's been a rough time. And I mentioned how baseball can bring us together. I mentioned the care package I got from the folks in Melbourne, and how Mick Orm just was phenomenal to send that, and I was taken back by that. There's been some bad blood back and forth, and there's been a lot of ups and downs this year in general. But I oftentimes find good vibes in the kiddos. The kiddos are the youngsters, the ones that are still not old enough to be, sullied by some of the nonsense of 2020, right? They kind of just go with the flow, right? I mean, they kind of go with the flow. I got this email 2 Sundays ago. I was watching the NFL, and my cousin sent me this link to a video. It says, you might want to see this. Well, my first cousin's got 3 kids, 3 boys, and they're all, I guess, ages. I said 2 are twins. They're 10, I believe, and the younger one's 8. And they're all very active as kids are this day and age. They're, playing sport and being involved, even though there's a pandemic going on. But she sent me this link to this video that one of my cousins, Caleb, was doing a little video play-by-play of his brother, Jacob. And it warmed my heart because, the bit was, well, he's kind of following in my footsteps, which is kind of cool, and I was flattered by that. But then the more I thought about it, it was a bigger picture thing, how sport and how kids can kind of take our minds off some of the ups and downs. And I want to play this for you guys. It's about 3 minutes long, so bear with me here. Hope you guys will enjoy it. It's my cousin Caleb doing play-by-play of his brother. He loves his brother so much that he figured, you know what, I'm going to do play-by-play of my brother playing ball. And it's just a random, and it's some fun nuggets in here. You're going to hear some very fun nuggets, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to play that for you now. Hope it'll make you feel a bit better about how this great game of ours and our love for the game, our love for sport, can kind of transcend some of the negatives and kind of bring us all together. And that love of game, love of sport can give us more love for each other and have some good vibes as we go forward. So indulge me here. Let's play this for you. This is my cousin Caleb, as he's doing a play-by-play a couple weeks ago.
This is Caleb Ransom reporting on my brother Jacob stepping up to bat. Look at Jacob hit this ball. As Jacob hits the ball to third, the runner on second doesn't have to advance. My brother has never pitched before, much less on a mound. He starts 1-0 as he falls. Jacob pitching his second pitch of the day. He throws a strike, 1-1. As the catcher reaches over the plate, he swings, 1-2. That's a strike. He throws it high for a ball, 2-2. This time, he throws it so high, it almost hit a plane. So it's 3-2. 3-2, what you gonna do? Strike him out for his first strikeout. If he didn't get a strike here, he'd walk. Starting off his second batter, he throws that ball just a little tiny bit outside that plate zone. 1-0. Bad. Man, those balls really want to go outside this day. Pressure's on. 2-0. Apparently this ball wanted to listen. He goes down the middle, but that guy can't hit it. 2-1. Apparently he wasn't expecting this. This ball's too high for you. 2-2. Jacob makes him swing with a high heater for a second strikeout. No pitch because no one was ready, even the cameraman.
Technical difficulties.
Making 2 swings, making 2 strikes. This ball gets dirty before it reaches this plate. 1-2. I do agree that this is low for a ball, but Dad wanted a strike here. This guy's out. Inning's over. Get out of here. Jacob's doing really great today. He's already gotten a hit, and he also already struck up the side. What more could he ask for? I found out. A big bomb to outfield. Video is by Mom and Dad. Commentary, Caleb. And the star of this all, Jacob.
There you go. That's my cousin right there doing his play-by-play. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, some of the gold there. Get out of here. That ball listened. It got dirty before it got to home plate. I mean, again, here in this pandemic we're in, here's a couple of kiddos, the brothers, they're twins, and he's supporting his brother playing baseball, but doing play-by-play, putting a video together in this crazy time we're in, and just, you would never thought anything more about it, just showing a little love for one another, a little love for the game, just some good vibes, and I thought that would be good today. This ball listened for all, I need some of this play-by-play myself. I'm going to start using it. This ball listened and got dirty for at the plate and bad, very bad. I love that too. But anyway, almost hit a plane. I mean, all that it's just radio gold. But more importantly, I hope you guys see behind it just the love of sport and the love of our game. And hopefully that love of our game will make us better and hopefully we'll be better and just come out of this thing and better than we were before. All right, again, Paul and I are going to discuss it. I didn't realize until yesterday that we had it's actually Thanksgiving in the States next week. We will have a show for you. I just don't know what that will look like and what we'll do, but we do have Cam Vail coming on with us next week. I guarantee you that. He's agreed to do that, and we do know that. In case you missed the news tonight or this morning on Talking Baseball Australia Live, baseball's best mate, Paul Morgan and I told you about the bit of the Adelaide bubble, where you're going to have Adelaide along with Brisbane, Perth, and Canberra playing in that quasi bubble. Also, the women's showcase is great news. And then we also talked about the Brisbane Brewers relationship, all the player news and all that. We expect any moment now for any moment, it'll be a couple hours, but we expect the fixture to be out officially later on this afternoon and very later in the day in the Eastern time zone, mid-afternoon in the West. So that's all the updates again. And again, I hope you enjoy the video. It gives me goosebumps, just some good vibes. We need good vibes. We need good things. We want to fight through this thing and have baseball. And hey, you know what? If this baseball season can get our minds off some of the nonsense that's been going on worldwide, I think it's done its job, don't you think? And I think we, as people, can be very thankful for that opportunity. Okay, Talking Baseball Australia, baseball's best mate. You can follow us on Twitter, on as well Instagram. Of course, Paul and I are also our handles are in the back end of the exit here, of the outro, let's call it. And of course, our Facebook page. We're glad you're along. We're glad you follow us. Please share it. Please like us, like our page, and share it as we're going to continue to bring you great content, especially when we know the fixture. We can do more content going forward in this 2021 Australian Baseball League season. Okay, time to roll that close again for my broadcast partner, Paul Morgan. I want to thank you, the fans of the Australian Baseball League, the fans, the best fans of baseball. I believe it. You guys are the best. You make us the best. And a big thank you for being part of baseball's best mate, because you are baseball's best mate. For Paul Morgan, I'm Dan Vaughn. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Much love to y'all worldwide.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for its fruit.